Good evening, everybody. Welcome to One Hub Racing for the slightly delayed round 8 of the Precision tier here in Season 16. 3 rounds to go and still 4 drivers within 1 race win of the championship who will take a big step towards that crown tonight for round 8, the Australian Grand Prix around the traditional season opener circuit, Albert Park in Melbourne. My name is Luke Etheridge. Alongside me is Prospect tier driver who hopefully has had a bit of chance to dry off after what was a very wet race indeed, Matt, also known as Indecisive Mac, and you were saying just before the stream started, not the most enjoyable experience. This is quite a tricky circuit in general.
Yeah, the towel came very handy tonight, but there was a lot of rain, blue tyres, a lot of rain, then it became intermediate, so tricky in the dry the best of times, but in a wet it's like a whole different animal. So I hope these boys are ready for rain, because if we have it, tends to knock onto the other tiers. But either way, it should be a slightly more entertaining race than I think we had, because there was not a lot going on towards the end, I don't think, in Prospect, but there seems to be things going on every week and every lap here, so let's see what happens.
I mean, hopefully we do get plenty of exciting race. I think it was a few of the drivers did mention if we do get some rain, that might make it a bit difficult because you don't get DRS to overtake, obviously, if it's rained, and you really do need DRS to overtake around this track with the 3 zones on the main pitch straight, the second straight as well, heading to turn 3, and then before you attempt the high-speed chicane with its murder curb, as I've renamed it, at turn 12, you get DRS on that next straight as well. If you weren't with us last week, it was Danestar who took his 3rd victory of the season at the Canadian Grand Prix. Originally, Khalifa crossed the line in 2nd, Jimbo Manzi finished 3rd, but there has been all sorts of penalties that have changed the order. You might remember Lawrence was leading the race, and we thought, because we didn't see it, we thought he'd spun on his own. It turned out he'd been tapped by Khalifa, who was hit with a 20-second time penalty, dropping the Mercedes driver from 2nd to 7th. He wasn't the only Mercedes driver to get a penalty. His teammate and championship leader, Janil, originally finished 5th. He got one for overtaking Scope under the safety car on the way into the pit lane. That gave him a 10-second penalty. He therefore drops to 8th. Scope had 10 seconds removed from his time, so he gets promoted to 2nd. In the end, Jimbo, he got 5 seconds for readying up too early, but it made no difference to his position changes. What that means for the championship, I did say it was extremely close. Janil, 111 points. Ollie Flavel, who finished 4th last time out, and it's safe to say wasn't best pleased, and we'll go over that in a bit. He's on 107. Danestar 101. Scopefield 94. Jimbo Manzi 67. The rest of the race premium drivers are Khalifa on 56, Lukey 32, and he actually got his 100th points finish in One Hub, which is by far a record. Going into the night, well, tonight's races, the next closest driver was Gaza on 74. J-Luke is on 26 points. Kian has 25. Verheyen 24. Jonas Ulbrich 9. Iron 3. Sam has none. And Lawrence probably feels like he should have got some last time out. He's still on no points. It is an extremely close championship. And because of what happened with Ollie and Danestar last week, I don't know if you guys remember, but they did make contact in the end and no further action was given by the stewards. It's fair to say Ollie's a bit peeved by that, and there's a bit of needle getting in between those two. Might be feisty if they're close to each other on track tonight.
It definitely could be feisty given that, but that's definitely thrown the constructors standings for a loop as well. Red Bull now lead it by 1 point. So those penalties for Mercedes were very, very costly.
Yeah, extremely costly. It was looking really good for them, but as you said, they have not dropped down. Jimbo still finishing 3rd, and Danestar getting his 3rd win of the season. It's amazing. He's the only person to have won multiple races. That's why they have a 1-point lead. Further down in the championship, then you've got AlphaTauri on 119, McLaren 108, then a big gap back to Alfa Romeo 41, Williams 35, Haas 29, Ferrari 25, Renault 24, Racing Point on 5 points. Probably got to say, just with the form Jimbo's in, and we know Danestar's an extremely quick driver, probably make Red Bull slight favourites over Mercedes going into the final 3 races.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You can see Red Bulls are trending upwards and Mercedes are slowly falling backwards. Khalifa was up there very early on in the season for drivers as well, but he's fallen backwards of late as well. He's had a couple of poor races by his standards, and last week didn't help matters, so definitely give the advantage to Red Bull.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to say Red Bull looking good. Khalifa, it's just sort of gone wrong for him for some reason. As you mentioned, 4th in the first race, 2 podiums after that. Since then, 8th, 10th, 14th and 7th. We know he's quick. He's got 3 fastest laps in the past 3 races, and he got pole position last time out. Would have been a podium if it wasn't that penalty. At one point in the season, though, we were saying just a couple of races ago, he was right in that championship battle. Now it's just trying to help his team out.
Yeah, and talking of teams, I just want to quickly touch on the teams' press conferences this week, which were Racing Point and AlphaTauri. Racing Point were asked, are the black Mercedes just better than the pink one? And they've like, no, they're not. We must do better in the future, though. We are looking at future link-ups with other partners, so watch this space. And AlphaTauri, how would you cope with losing Honda as an engine supplier? Of course, from 2021 was that, or at some point in the future anyway. But it is a big blow, and they do thank them for the support they've been given, but I think we are in a good place for a new partner.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what partner Red Bull end up with. Might also be interesting to see when Christian Horner next bumps into Cyril Abiteboul, because Mercedes today said they can't really afford to supply another team. They'll be supplying 4 teams next year. I can't see why you'd want a Ferrari engine at this moment in time. That only leaves them with Red Bull going back to Renault, and Renault are contractually obliged to offer their engines out, seeing as they supply the least teams. So, might be a bit of an awkward situation, but it wouldn't surprise me if Red Bull maybe try and get someone else involved. Who knows where that will end up? And like Lukey said, Racing Point are getting a new partner, and it's fair to say he was shaken but not stirred by that question in the press conference. In the drivers' press conference, Khalifa was asked about how he thought this season's going, and he's realistic now. Top 3 too far. Like I said, 4th place and pushing for that Constructors' Championship. So he won't get any prizes or any trophies, which are sponsored by our sponsor Liam13. So you can check him out on Twitch and Facebook Gaming, playing lots of different games at the moment. Bits of F1, bits of Call of Duty, bits of FIFA if you want to check him out. Khalifa's not going to get the top 3 championship trophy, but as he said, gets his form back into good action, could still get that Constructors' Trophy, but there is still hope, obviously, for drivers lower down that they can get their hands on not necessarily a silverware, but a bit of a prize themselves.
Yeah, Next Level Racing are providing a wheel stand for the winner of the Going Gets Tough award for the drivers outside of the top 3 in the end of season standings, and all you've got to do is attend all your media obligations and you are automatically within a chance of winning that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we are down to about 10 drivers in that, and the media press conferences didn't seem as full this week as they did normally. We have just got confirmation from Jess that we will be starting at about 8:10. So we'll take this time to go over through a bit of the pre-race interviews and different things. As I alluded to earlier, a lot of the drivers admitting this isn't an easy track to overtake. Really need to be within DRS range of the car in front. I'd say turn 3 probably the best, because you can have DRS on the main straight, and then again on the straight leading up to turn 3. Do you expect that to be where most of the overtaking action is if we get a dry race?
Yeah, there's 4 main action zones as well. In the full dry, of course, you've got turn 1, obviously down the straight, DRS into the braking zone. Turn 3, again, second dip at DRS. Turn 5, it looks easy, but it's not if you get it slightly wrong, and the curb, could send you into an uncontrollable spin, and that might and very often does result in early DNFs. And of course, turn 12. It's seen a lot of drivers lose the rear in past seasons. Using too much curve on the exit, particularly on worn tyres, will always require some careful use of throttle. So get a poor exit there, and that makes you vulnerable into turn 13.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously turn 13, there is DRS down there. Not the easiest overtaking opportunity, but definitely a chance for some drivers if they are feeling a bit brave. And if they do have a tyre differential, it looks like we are getting the session underway then. Any predictions for pole position? Because this has been an extremely close lobby this year, but we are getting to the end of the season. Danestar said he feels like this race might be his best chance, and amazingly, just to give you a clue of how close it is, he could get his 4th victory this season and still not be leading the championship by the end of the night.
Yeah, that is one of the strangest stats I think I'll ever hear, especially in this tier. But favourites for pole, as we've touched on Khalifa being quick all season, and especially earlier tonight. But I'm going to go for someone surprising that might not necessarily think so, who could have a chance if he can build a foundation. We saw Lawrence at the lead last week, so I'm going to go for him.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully Lawrence says he'll be able to join during qualifying, and who knows, maybe just having one shot and that extra bit of pressure might be able to give him a chance. We've got some support for Red Bull in the chat. They're both looking very... We know Danestar's looking good, but Jimbo as well. 3 podiums in the last 4 races. Every race he's finished, he's been in the top 5. If he hadn't have had that retirement in Belgium, and obviously, I think probably more so, if he hadn't have missed Holland, you've got to say he'd have had a chance of winning the championship. Mathematically, him and Khalifa are still in it, but realistically, it's those top 4 drivers, Janil, Ollie, Danestar, and Scopefielder.
Yeah, it's always about mathematically people have chances, but definitely realistically it's the top 4. But as you say, who knows what would have happened had he attended the Netherlands race. So you never know how that would have changed the season for everybody.
Yeah, and who knows what could happen tonight. We've got 29 laps coming your way after this qualifying session around the Albert Park circuit, first used in Formula 1 in 1996 as a replacement for the Adelaide circuit, which hosted the last race of 1995. 5.303 kilometres, so 3.295 miles. We've said earlier, 3 DRS zones, 16 corners. Amazingly, even in one hub, it's usually the first race of the season. This is only the second time in one hub history where we've had the Australian Grand Prix, and it has not been the first race. The last time was season 11, back in the pre-Halo days of 2017, where it was round 5 of the season. And we do have a previous race winner out on circuit tonight. Ollie winning in season 14 in what was then the Pinnacle tier. That was the second tier back then. It is the second tier again now. He'll be feeling pretty confident, and I think he's got a bit of the Charles Leclerc about him at this moment in time, that he thinks, well, I sort of know what is allowed when it comes to defending now, so the gloves are off for the rest of the season. I'm going to fight to keep my position.
Yeah, you definitely get more acclimated to the rules as the season goes on. But there's hot and cold drivers every week, and this week we have Schofield, who's very hot, and cold is Mr. Simp.
Yeah, well, his teammate, Mr. Simp, yeah, the two AlphaTauris in differing forms. Amazingly to think that Mr. Simp has finished one race this season, and it was a victory. Who knows what could have happened in Austria if he hadn't have disconnected, but that's just sometimes the bad luck that you have in a season. So we'll wait and see how those drivers do tonight then. Mr. Simp just getting ready to start a flying lap. Janil as well, getting ready to start a flying lap as well, leaving it pretty late. But we will go on board with Jimbo Manzi, third last time out, and he is one of our race premium drivers here at One Hub, where you can get season entry fee covered, and you get a few more bonuses as well. Might not necessarily make you any quicker though, not that Jimbo's needing it as he heads down towards turn 3. Slowest corner on the track there, about 50 miles an hour. That's for turn 5 curb. You need to be careful going over that exit sausage curb. Will invalidate your lap and could easily send you into the wall. Coming to the end of the first sector now. Nice and steady from there. Probably just took a bit too much curb on the corner entry. This long right-hander then coming through now into 9 and 10. The next chicane. Then you've got this, not really a corner, not counted as a corner, this long sweeping left-hander, getting ready for that famous chicane at turn 11 and 12. Take it easier on the way in to get a better exit, obviously. Stay off the curb as much as you can, but don't be too careful as it will slow you down. DRS open once again on the run down for the final sector of the lap, and it's very tight, twisty end to the lap here in Melbourne. Turns 13, 14, 15 and 16 to finish off the lap. Another 50 mile an hour left-hander there. Need to be steady on the throttle through this right-hander, especially when your tyres are wearing. and Jimbo heads towards the finish line. Where is this going to put him for now? 120.071 is third position. Janil, championship leader, fastest so far then. And Janil's last pole position was at the Monaco Grand Prix, so we'll have to see how he does tonight. It's not a bad first run though when you consider the fastest time we saw in podium was 119.3. There's definitely going to be times to improve as the track beds in. Pretty respectable one from Janil, Mr. Sim. Well, early, all these guys pretty close. Interesting to see Rimpe up there, Scopefielder. That's more than respectable. That's absolutely fantastic. 119.482 for him. We've now got Dainstar coming around the final few corners. Could he get himself onto the front row of the grid provisionally?
He might be able to do so, and as you were on board a few moments ago, we did lose Kelvin from the session. He lost it at that chicane, so it's already bitten, and this session's less than 2 minutes old, I think. So that was quick.
We did make a prediction before the race, and normally our predictions are absolutely terrible. We did make a prediction of 7 people hitting that chicane. We're up to 1. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 2 or 3 before the end of the session, and we probably will get a safety car just caused by someone getting it a bit wrong on that curve. And that was something Jimbo mentioned in his interviews, with a lot of the drivers saying qualifying is very important around here. Probably not as important as Monaco, but maybe nearly as important as every other track, as Ollie has been absolutely shafted there by Rimpe through that slow part of the circuit, really getting held up by the Racing Point, who I don't think realised how close the McLaren was behind him. We'll see if it's affected his time at all. 119.9, so given his qualifying this season, not sure if it affected him too much. Wouldn't be surprised if that gets taken to the stewards though. Good time from Rimpe though, he's yet to score a point this season. In his third race, he's in 5th position. Apart from Scopefielder, it's looking as close as ever, but he's just a long way ahead at this moment in time.
Yeah, and on the subject of Rimpe, he's been in the press conferences we all have the opportunity to do every week. He thinks you'll need a pretty big pace advantage to overtake, but it is possible. He's been putting down some practice for the weekend, so he's pretty confident to have the fast chicane not claim him as a victim. He's more comfortable being the chasing car, and he hopes for a dry race, but he thinks quality is more important here than on most other tracks.
Yeah, sort of the answers we got off everyone. A lot of drivers understandably say, yeah, we're confident through the chicane. I wonder if there's a bit of kiddom from Janil, who said he's either going to crash or invalidate his time, because that's something you've got to watch out for. Even if you keep it clean through that chicane, it's very easy to cut it too much, invalidate your lap. Run wide, invalidate your lap. Do that a couple of times in the race, you're going to be picking up penalties very quickly. And then if we get a late safety car, as we saw a couple of safety cars last time out, you're in big trouble when it comes to the penalties.
Yeah, definitely, especially if there's a very late safety car, that can change a lot of things. But on the topic of keeping things clean, Schnicksel, in his drivers' conference, the most important thing to do is keep it clean, get no penalties, and hope for a safety car in the race. He doesn't care about weather conditions, and as the chasing car, he can only hit himself, as he doesn't use racing line assist, so he prefers to be chasing, I guess, in that. And it's not easy to overtake, but he can't tell you how much he struggles in the fast chicane, although historically he doesn't struggle that much. But this is a completely different season, so we don't know yet.
Yeah, different season, different game. Didn't seem to struggle too much that time with a 120.222. And he says he doesn't mind the weather. He has put dry race in the chat with a smiley face, so he's probably a bit happy that it is dry. Great lap, though, from Vihainen that time out. Last year's champion, let's not forget, in the podium tier, 119.758. He's starting to get to grips with this tier as the season goes on, so a very good lap from him. 10 minutes to go, and it is an AlphaTauri 1-2. Could they maybe make a late assault at the Constructors' Championship? Mr. Simp second behind his teammate Vihainen third, Janil 4, Ollie Flavel in fifth. They're the only drivers in the 1 minute 19 so far. Still got a few drivers to set a time. One of those being a person who seems to have found a bit more form lately. We said he got his 100th point finish last time out. Ever since Austria, Luki has looked a bit more confident with this Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, you can see there were signs even before that he's starting to pick up the form a little bit, and it's good that he's got so many points finishes. It shows you that consistency usually comes through in the end. You might have a couple of races outside of the points here and there, but on the whole, consistency really helps. But you mentioned the AlphaTauri getting in on the constructors. I don't think so. It's possible, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, realistically, probably not, but getting a 1-2 would not be a bad start as Lukey comes across the line then in 11th place at the moment. It's only his teammate yet to set a lap, and as I say that, he does so with a 1:20.732. So Kelvin retired out on track, AJ retired in the pits. All of the 13 drivers have set a lap time then halfway through this session. Dainstar, we saw, get it wrong right at the end of his lap, so we still don't know what sort of pace he's going to be able to set. So this could be very interesting. He said this is the track out of the 3 that are remaining, so that's tonight, next week at Silverstone, and then the one that I think a lot of the drivers who are in this championship fight might be hoping they've got it sewn up before we get to Vietnam for the finale. Dainstar said this is the one he feels the most confident on, so really could do with nailing tonight, because Silverstone, we know rain can always be a factor. Vietnam as well. Oh, a lot of weather-affected races there, and it is such a tricky circuit that you don't want to be having to go into those final 2 races, I think, with quite a big margin to those leading the championship.
No, but it's more track dependent on that. I think definitely people that may have a chance of winning the title at Hanoi are going to be a little bit twitchy about it because it's still very new and we still don't know too much about the track. So if you're going to try and seal it, it'll be this.
Oh, Jimbo's had a huge crash.
Yes, he has. That's not really a problem area that we expect to see, but sometimes you can have a big error. But the thing I was talking about before that happened was you always want to secure titles at tracks you know really well.
Yeah, definitely. So Jimbo, I'm guessing that was maybe just catching it a bit later on that curb and then sending it flying into the barrier. So 7th's the best he could do. Dainstorm invalidated his lap. Scopefielder invalidated his lap. Mr. Simp, he'll be hoping for a better lap this time around, seeing as he set his best one on 3-lap old softs, as has Khalifa. Janil doing 2 laps on the softs as well. That's pretty interesting. The soft tyres aren't too bad around here. They have to do a 2-stop anyway. So soft, medium, soft, medium, soft. Probably the strategies we're going to see, do you reckon, in the dry?
Yeah, there aren't many strategies you can play around with around here. That is probably the preferred strategy for a lot of the drivers. But if you're outside the top 10, you could probably switch that and start on the mediums and see how it takes you. But definitely at least one medium stint and one soft stint will be seen today.
Yeah, definitely indeed. I was surprised to see the hards unless we get some early safety cars, as Mr. Simp has now invalidated his lap. Ollie Flavel has gone up into 2nd position then, 1:19.564, as he just makes sure he gets well out of the way of the other cars. Still quite a few in the pits then with 6 minutes remaining, and it's Khalifa. He's just heading through the end of Sector 1 now. And if you want to check how your favourite driver is doing, you can use the Taz system. !help in the chat will come up with all the commands. And Khalifa, at this moment in time, 1:20.119, doesn't need to find too much time to get himself right behind his teammate and maybe offer Janil a bit of support. And you can see there, 28 thousandths up through the middle sector.
I mean, yeah. How do you measure 28 thousandths though without a stopwatch? But Luke is invalidated. I think he might be on an lap, so that's okay. But to keep an eye on him later, Schnicksel's getting out the way of Lukey, who's building on for another lap there. It's crazily close every week.
Yep, and that is why we are so lucky to be able to commentate on it. Let's see what Khalifa can do then as he comes across for time. Ends up moving just ahead of his teammate into 5th place. Very good run from him. Lukey, he's just heading out then on his flying lap. Schnicksel's coming to the pit. Ollie Flavel will also be taking, I imagine, to the pit lane as well. We're very happy with 2nd at the moment. Dainstar on another outlap. He needs to be careful that he's not using up all his soft tyres here if he wants to get a couple of runs out on these in the race. But with 5 minutes to go, maybe starting to feel the pressure. So, well, I'd say some of these guys are feeling the pressure. Most of them are pretty relaxed at the moment and are just staying in the pit lane. So whether that is saving tyres for the race or they just felt like they got a good run early on.
Yeah, you can certainly see some of the times up there definitely feel good and they may be able to improve a little bit, but do they want to risk their race strategy? I don't know. Do they want better tyres for the race? we'll see, but there's a lot of people still trying to improve as we get to the final 4.5 minutes of this session.
Yeah, still plenty trying to improve. So Lukey, he's just got it wrong through that turn 11-12 chicane. Like we said, if you don't spin, very easy to invalidate. Danestar, his improvements at the moment aren't really going to tell us much because we don't know what time he would have set if he hadn't have made the mistake through the final couple of corners last time around. So we'll have to see how he does here. A 10th up on his personal best still, so slightly slower second sector than his first attempt in this session, but it's all about these final few corners for Danestar. The sole Red Bull remaining in the session after Jimbo Manzi became the second victim of that 11-12 chicane, and that's 5 more to go for me and Matt's prediction over the entire qualifying and race, and we've still got a long way to go and lots of exciting action hopefully to come. What can Danestar do then? His first really clean lap in this session, 6th position at the moment. I mean, just look how close it is between Verheyen to Janil, separated by 800 for the second. That's the difference between 4th and 7th.
Yeah, we're spoiled to have such a close tier every week. This is incredible stuff, and I'm beginning to think this is going to be a classic race that'll go down in the history books for all the right reasons.
Yes, hopefully it will do. Janil, he's had a big improvement then in the first couple of sectors. If he nails this final corner, might be good enough to challenge Schofield at the front of the grid. He does more than that. He's absolutely nailed that final sector. 8th tenths up on his personal best. 119.037. Fastest lap we have seen so far this evening. What a fantastic run from him. Probably his last run in the session as well. That's put a bit of pressure on some of these other guys, to say the least.
Yeah, how do you handle the pressure? We're going to find out. Schofield was on a lap, so he could be the first to tell us how good that lap from Janil really was.
Yeah, we will have to find out how good this lap was as well. No one else really on a hot lap at the moment. Schofield are getting a bit of a slipstream off Janil, which I'm sure was definitely not intentional. We'll see how he's doing. His personal best in the first sector. Last time around, he was the fastest of all in the second sector, so if he can match that this time, and no, he's just a bit off, but might still, well, very close to becoming victim number 3 there.
Yeah, very close, but it's funny. Schofield actually has a quicker Sector 2 than Janil. Not by much, but it's quicker nonetheless, and he seems to have backed out of it after that mistake, so let's find someone else.
Yeah, we'll have to see who else we've got on the lap. His teammate's just starting one now. I think that's Janil who's heading round. Got one of the racing points on an out lap. Again, it's most of the drivers are still on an out lap, and are leaving it very, very late indeed. I wonder if we've got a bit of a timing glitch with the session, which does happen a few times where it says it's a bit later than it earlier is, but we'll go with this. Most of the drivers then are on their out laps for what will be their one final run. Mr. Sim on a hot lap at this moment in time, 4th position at the moment. How's he doing through sector 1? Wasn't a personal best through sector 1, an all session best through sector 2, but he's cut turn 11. That's qualifying over for him.
Yep, I think he got a little bit too excited seeing it flash purple. We'll do it, especially when we're on a cold streak as he is.
I mean, I don't do it more because I rarely ever see it flash purple, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. No other reason than that. Rimpe then 8th position, trying to move Racing Point. As you said earlier, Matt, the pink Mercedes have really struggled this season, while the black Mercedes have been absolutely fantastic. Only 5 points for the Racing Point team so far this season. Janil and Schofield are both happy with their times at the moment. Let's see how the Racing Point can do as he goes through the first sector. Is it quicker from him? Yes, 10 up on his personal best, and matching that, he could start getting involved with this Khalifa and Danestar battle. Schnitzel on his previous run did a full 360 at turn 12, and I've got to say with Schnitzel, he's just played this season perfectly so far. You mentioned how he enjoys keeping it clean as the checkered flag comes out. He's got himself into a fantastic position at the moment in the championship, 7th place, despite by his own admission really struggling with the pace. He just keeps it clean, keeps out of trouble. Others get penalties, he always seems to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, he always does, and it's a credit to him to keep going as Ollie Flavel's into Sector 3 and he's gone purple through Sector 2, didn't invalidate after that. So this could be a very close fight for pole position. although he's said that he's gone too wide and I've ruined everything for him.
I was about to say, just clip the gravel there, and then as I look across, I see he has invalidated it. So at third at the moment, he'll still be pretty happy with that time. It could have been even better though. Khalifa moves up into sixth position. Schnitzel's just outside the top 10, gets himself just inside that top 10. That drops Jimbo Mansi down there. Mr. Sim, he's trying to improve. He's only just off his personal best at the moment in all sectors and does improve a lot. He must have made a mistake in the final sector on his previous run. Gets himself up into second place. Jonas, final man, I think, across the line. No, actually, we've still got Dainstar and Verheyen. So Jonas goes into 11th. Verheyen, what time will he set in the Renault? He moves up into 6th. It's all about Dainstar now, and he's green and green in the first two sectors.
Yeah, I think he's going to be up there, definitely. If he can keep it tight around here, and he does, he'll be very low on fuel for a maximum straight line speed. But what can he do as he comes around the final corner, opens the DRS for one more time, and here comes the line, and he crosses it with a third place in 19.3.
Great run there from Dainstar. Great final lap to get third position, and look at that top 10 separated by a second. 11th and 12th just outside of that 1 second mark. This is going to be a very interesting race indeed, but it is championship leader Janil with his third pole position of the season. And Mr. Simp, sort of, out of those top 5, he's the only one not in this championship battle. He could cause a bit of chaos just because he doesn't have to think about the long game here. He's just going to be going for the race win.
Yeah, it could be very refreshing to see him go for the race win from second on the grid. That's a fantastic qualifying performance from someone, as we said earlier, who's in the cold bit of the form. But we can see, I've never seen him this far up the grid before, so how can he cope with being up there?
Well, cold for Australia is still probably pretty warm for most of us, so maybe that explains his form tonight. But it is Janil on pole position by a quarter of a second from Mr. Simp in second, Dainstar third, Scopefielder in fourth, Olive Lavelle fifth, then two Finns, Rimpe and Verheyen 6th and 7th. Khalifa, pole sitter last time around, 8th is the best he could manage tonight. Kian is 9th, Schnitzel's 10th, Jonas Ulbricht will get free tyre choice in 11th, as will Jimbo, who lost it in that session over turn 12. Lukey struggled a bit there, he's in 13th. Calvin was another turn 12 victim, and we didn't see AJ out on track. He will be 15th and last. Judging by that qualifying session, there is a lot of quick drivers there today, but penalties could well play a part.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm expecting 4 position changes on penalties alone as they cross the line at the end of the race. And how many we got left for victims? We're up to 5 for the race as well, so let's see what happens there.
It could well happen. It could if they all start getting bunched up by multiple safety cars because one person loses it. We'll have to wait and see. And we have seen some big incidents here in Turn 1, in league racing, and of course in real life. Who could forget 2002 where Ralf Schumacher was more resembling a Qantas airplane rather than a Williams Formula 1 car as he went flying over the top of Rubens Barrichello. So we've got 15 drivers, 29 laps to go. It's going to be very brave of any of us to make a prediction, but I'm hoping you're a brave man, Matt. Who do you think's going to take the victory?
Well, based on that qualifying, it's going to be between a few drivers, but I think it's going to be from someone outside the top 10. And that will be... And give me a few seconds, I can see the actual grid, just so I can give you the correct name to look forward to.
I mean, if I had to go outside of the top 10, I think I know who you mean, and I think it maybe Jimbo with the form he's in, starting 12th, if you're going to go for someone outside the top 10 to pull a surprise.
Yeah, that was definitely my thinking. I just couldn't remember exactly where he qualified on the grid. So yeah, Jimbo Mansi's been in good form of late, so why not?
Why not indeed? I'm going to go for a man who's starting a bit higher up. I think Mr. Simp might end up doing this just because he doesn't have that pressure. I feel like he knows he's got the pace. Maybe he's just due a good result. We'll have to wait and see how things go. We'll have to wait and see if the session gets started because this is beginning to resemble Eiffel Grand Prix practice and we're getting plenty of lovely garage shots here. So have to wait and see what is happening and whether we do get a reset.
Yeah,
Places
I think the lobby broke.
Oh, no.
Oh, has it?
We're underway.
Oh,
We're
okay.
underway for the formation lap then, as I think a few of us were starting to send messages and wonder what was happening. We'll see what tyres everyone is on. We knew the top 10 would be on the softs. Lukey, AJ and Lawrence has managed to join the session. So great to see him getting in the session. He'll be starting 16th. They're on the softs. Jonas, Jimbo and Kelvin on the mediums. You can ignore that one-stop strategy because, of course, season 16 here at One Hub, you have to make 2 stops. Soft, medium could be one to work. I imagine Jimbo, Jonas and Kelvin probably going medium, soft. But if there's an early safety car, that might just ruin their strategies ever so slightly.
It might, but again, if you're on the mediums, it could help as well, because everyone could presumably pit onto the mediums. You're already on them, so you can go further up the grid. It can go both ways, so we'll see how that affects things if there is an early safety car, of course.
Yeah, it does. Hopefully we get a nice smooth race. Hopefully it's less affected by safety cars, but they do bunch up the field every now and then, and it can lead to some unpredictable results. We probably could have predicted this, though. Janil starting on pole position. As we said earlier, 3rd time this season. He's the only driver to have multiple pole positions, but only 1 victory so far in America. He'll be looking for a good result, obviously, after his worst of the season so far. 8th place in Canada, and that's allowed Ollie to close up. Danestar as well, last week's race winner, and Scopefielder. You've got Danestar 3rd, Scope 4th, Ollie Flavel 5th. All the championship rivals right up there, and it's probably, if one of them has a retirement, especially Danestar and Scopefielder, it's probably game over for them if they have a retirement. So they need to maybe just think when they're going for some of these moves, because it is tough to overtake around here. I've got a bigger plan to think about than just this race win. Janil, he'll be hoping to get away. He says he usually enjoys being ahead. He's got that position tonight, and we'll have to see how he does over the next 29 laps.
Yeah, it's all about definitely managing your overtaking opportunities to the maximum, and of course, just because there's a move there doesn't necessarily mean you can get the move done. There are corners where you shouldn't try it, and we'll see what happens, but definitely think long term here.
Yeah, definitely worth thinking about. Maybe when the DRS comes in, maybe the pit stop period as well, as we're just waiting for the lights then to come on here at the Albert Park circuit. 4 of these top 5 are in with a real chance of getting the championship. Khalifa and Jimbo need a bit more luck, and they are starting further down the grid as well in 8th and 12th position, as I'm starting to wonder if the race director has fallen asleep on the light switch. No, here we go. We have got 5 lights in here to get round 8 of the precision tier underway. And we are racing, and it is a decent start by Scopefielder from 4th position there. Looked as though he was going to challenge his teammate already. There's a car off in the background with some big damage, but it is Mr. Simp in the lead of this race and ahead of Janil. Scopefielder has got himself up into 3rd place, and in fact he is challenging. He is challenging Janil at the moment. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside at turn 3. That'll be fantastic if he can pull it off, but no, not quite this time around. Ollie Flavel and Danestar fighting side by side. That could be one to watch for the rest of the race, and in the end, Danestar stays just ahead. There's a lot of dust being kicked up in the background. Not quite sure if anyone has gone off circuit, but I think, apart from AJ, they've all managed to get through the first part of the lap fairly cleanly. Danestar's got ahead of Scopefielder. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. I think that's just AJ recovering, and Danestar seems to have forced Scopefielder to go off ever so slightly. Verheyen, he's really getting himself involved at the start of this race, bumps the wall ever so slightly. Danestar showing that he's not in a mood to be held up at the moment. That's just allowed Mr. Simp and Janil to get away ever so slightly. Ollie Flavel now trying to go down the inside of Verheyen. Needs to be careful he doesn't spin his car on the inside, and that's what the drivers have been warned about, because it is very easily done through the physics on this game. If you're overtaking someone on the inside, you can easily get spun around. At the end of lap 1 though, Mr. Simp with an absolutely fantastic start in the lead of this race, and just look at the gap him and Janil are getting already over Danestar.
Yep, and there's a big gap at the back as AJ's already broken his wing, so he'll be in to replace that, but that is a very impressive first lap from the leading 2.
Yeah, Ollie Flavel getting past Verheyen, then not the cleanest move, and that forced Renault just to drop off the circuit slightly, and now Verheyen's gone into the back of Schofielder. That's sent the Alpha Tauri driver round. I think Lawrence might have got caught up in that as well, and all of a sudden Schofielder, he was in 4th place coming onto the start of the lap. He is now down in 12th position, and if we check, he's broken his front wing. He'll probably be coming in on this lap, so a disaster for a man 4th in the championship who really needed a good run. AJ has put the hard tyres on. Those that started on the mediums are finding themselves at the back, as Jonas, I think, is having a few connection issues as he seems to have lagged his way through. Oh, we've got a Renault backwards, and that is Verheyen facing the wrong way.
Well, that didn't take long for that to happen. He's gone backwards from the top of the grid, and he's now back towards the bottom, I guess. Things happen, but Lawrence had a storming start. He's up to P8. He started 16th.
Yeah, we're getting the position. Yeah, we're getting the position changes up. Lukey as well. He's up into 5th position. Like, he's got a broken front wing. I think a lot of these drivers have at the moment. Verheyen's obviously got a broken one. Safety car. Verheyen out. That's victim number 3 at turn 12. Safety car, and it was just late enough, but just early enough to allow Lukey and some of those behind to come into the pits. Jimbo doing what you suggested, staying out on those medium tyres. Lawrence picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So we've had our 3rd victim. 4 more to go at turn 12. There we go. A safety car has come in. A lot of drivers taking the opportunity to put a fresh set of tyres on and maybe fix any damage. Lukey changing his front wing, as has Rimpe, as has Schofielder.
Yep, there's a lot of damage there, a lot of tactical, but AJ's on the hard tyres, and I can understand why pitting on that one when you break your wing, but even so, you might be regretting that now with the safety car, but he has a bit later anyway, but he could be up there with some points later in the race with that strategy.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Just have to wait and see how it works. We can see who's made the stops now. Top 7 staying out on the circuit, so Schnitzel leading out of those. That has made a pit stop. We've already seen a few penalties. Danestar's picked up a 3-second penalty for getting multiple warnings. Rimpe's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, and that is an absolute nightmare. He's going to have to serve that within 3 laps of the safety car coming in. So unfortunately, it looks like it might be another race for the Racing Point team where they are struggling to get points. So much action on that first lap. Every single corner there seemed to be someone going for an overtake. You said just before the race started, take it easy, there's always another day. It's almost like these guys had all been told, if you don't overtake on this lap, you're not going to have a chance for the rest of the race, as we are now seeing more of the top drivers come in. I think everyone who didn't pit on that first lap, apart from Kelvin, who is going to take the lead of this race, everyone else now has made their first pit stop.
Yeah, I think he was smart of some of them as well, because I think that the ones behind would have realised that their teammate carried on, so there would be no double stack. So they bopped in, got new tyres, and everyone else just went round another lap. And now we have Kelvin, who hasn't stopped at all, is leading the race. We saw something similar last week when Lawrence was leading the race and had a very good restart under the safety car, but then it all went wrong, unfortunately. But as we touched on, with the penalty to Khalifa there. But let's see how this restart goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a while, I think, before we get the restart. Definitely not this lap. Hopefully, next time around. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Safety cars can quite often breed safety cars. So Kelvin might be thinking, there's going to be some more here. He did get his first point last time out. Finished in 11th. But as it was only 11 finishers, that guaranteed him the fastest lap point for those outside the top 10. Let's not forget here at One Hub Racing, same points as F1 for the finishing positions, the fastest lap in the top 10 and the fastest lap outside the top 10 get themselves a point. So Kelvin leading the race, then Simp, Janil, D-Star, Olive Havel, Schnitzel, Kian, Lukey, Jimbo Manzi and Khalifa. Your top 10 at the moment, just getting the position changes back up. Kelvin obviously the big winner, but Lukey as well, despite making that early pit stop with everyone else, 8th position, didn't see too much of him in qualifying because I don't think he got a clean lap in. He'll be happy with how this has gone, and he'll be hoping for points finish 101.
Yeah, that would be a great way to mark the season with another points finish. Whew. Excitement already. My voice is warped off, I think, but I'll keep going till the end.
Yeah, safety car coming in this lap. That's a bit earlier than I was expecting. So here we go. Kelvin was a very late mark there by the race director. He is trying to go here through that corner, but I don't think he really had his tyres warmed up, but no one else was expecting it. Simp has been left behind, as has Janil, so we are back underway here then. The field quite spread out near the top. Interestingly, Jimbo Manzi's gone for the soft tyres, so he's either thinking there's going to be another safety car or I need to make some moves early on. Rimpe getting ahead of Jonas Ulbricht. He's up into 11th place, but Jonas gets back ahead. Jimbo trying to go round the outside of the Alfa Romeo of Luki. No room there this time around. Fantastic restart though by Kelvin. It was so late when it said the safety car was coming in. I think it just caught everyone by surprise, and he took full advantage. He was leading by a second across the line. Already though, Simp, Janel, Dainstar, Ollie, everyone else catching up, which means we may well have a DRS train in 2 laps time if we don't see another safety car.
Yeah, there's always a big if. If it's just Formula 1 spelled backwards, a great commentator, Murray Walker, used to say. But, you know, safety cars can pop up at any time, and it is very erratic on how long it stays out for. Sometimes it's forever, sometimes it catches the whole field off guard, like we just saw. But Mr. Simp is lining up a move already, and that is the lead of the race for him.
Yeah, fantastic move by Mr. Simp. Didn't want to get held up through this final part of the lap. He has taken the lead in this race. Janel trying to go to the outside of Kelvin. That's a very brave move. Dainstar giving it a go as well. I don't think he was really expecting that, but that didn't go to plan. Could have well ended up with an incident. Not sure if he got any damage at all. No, he did not. But Dainstar right close to the back of Janil, who has gone down the inside of Kelvin. That is the Mercedes up into second position. Rimpe into the pits to serve his drive-through penalty. We saw AJ make a mistake on that lap as well, but he was able to carry on. Dainstar now dives down the inside of Kelvin, who's dropping through the field like a stone all of a sudden. And his teammate low with the next car to try to get ahead of him. And if there's any team communications, I'm sure Ollie will be saying, let me by now. I'm in this championship hunt. You are not. And already, Kelvin just holding up his teammate ever so slightly and allowing those front drivers to get away. This is really going to cost Ollie ever so slightly. Jimbo trying to go down round the outside of Luki. Luki fighting back in the Alfa Romeo. In the end, though, the Red Bull is up into 8th, and we've seen Lawrence pick up a 3-second time penalty. Simp, Janel and Dainstar really desperate to get past Kelvin. Ollie's now got a fantastic run through 11 and 12, but his teammate just says, yeah, I've tried defending. You're clearly quicker than me. Have that place back. The McLaren swapping around. Ollie in 4th, but now 1.2 seconds behind the podium places.
Yeah, that move by Ollie on his teammate reminds me of Germany, where you had Fernando is faster than you.
Rob Smedley
on the back of Phil, no?
Yeah, it's getting pretty close at the moment between different people. We've got Jimbo on the back of Kian, not able to make the move at the moment. Everyone wants to take full advantage of these soft tyres. We have got DRS enabled. The first time they'll be able to use it is on the run down to turn 13. Jimbo looking like he might not need it though, as he tries to go all the way around the outside of Kian at turn 3. Not able to do so. AJ has left the session. Don't think he'll be able to rejoin because of the rule that was implemented partway through the season. Rejoining does mean you can cut corners without getting any penalty, so unsurprisingly that is frowned upon by the stewards. So we'll have to wait and see if AJ does rejoin the session, and you can just see the extra grip Jimbo's got on his tyres straight round the outside. Similar move to what he pulled off Luki last time around. He's up into 7th.
Yeah, very good timely move for him on the soft tyres. Definitely will want on the next couple of laps to use them quite wisely, and then they'll start to fall off a little bit at a time. But a good stint so far for most of these drivers. Very good action already.
Yeah, Khalifa trying to add a bit more to that, trying to go round the outside of Kian. He's left himself vulnerable though to Luki, who's now got the inside line for the next corner and takes 9th place. It's going to be a short hold. Does that make any sense? I'm not quite sure if I'm being honest, but Khalifa's retaken 9th place. Luki is back down to 7th. Schofield are trying to fight his way back up. As things stand in the championship, I know it is extremely early days. Janil would maintain the lead with 135 points. Schofielder would be on 94 points, so 41 points behind would be a big task. With 2 races remaining after tonight, there will only be 52 points available. Stixel battling there. Jimbo's actually managed to get ahead of Stixel, so he's really flying at the moment. He's got past Stixel, Kian, Lukey, Khalifa, I think, during this stint. He's now up into 6th, and Kelvin is his next target. This strategy could just work out for him. If there's another safety car, putting on another set of mediums, if he got him, probably get him to the end.
Yeah, he's probably going to need a few more laps on these softs, yeah, but that is a very good strategy lineup. That's a definite power play for Jimbo Manzi there. The mediums definitely will get him to the end in a few laps' time, as you say. But can he get past Kelvin in the shorter term? We'll see, as he's got a bite of DRS, but his ERS is pretty much dry. Can he get the move done? Not quite on this straight, but maybe across the line into turn 1 with the next bite of DRS.
Yeah, could probably do with saving a bit of that ERS, maybe just getting a better run out of this final corner. He didn't have the greatest of slingshots through 11 and 12. In fact, Kelvin's ran off the circuit ever so slightly there. He seems to be really struggling to just keep it on the black stuff at the moment, does Kelvin. He's had 5 warnings already. That's allowed Jimbo up into 5th position. Snixel now, he's going to go down the inside into turn 1 on lap 9. He's up into 6. Kelvin tries to fight back. In the end, drops behind. Kian drops behind Lukey. I'm not sure if he made a bit of contact with Stixel there, actually, because the Williams has dropped back all of a sudden. But action all throughout the field, and somehow in all that, Kian's now in 6th, Lukey 7th, Khalifa in 8th, Stixel 9th, Kelvin down into 10th. But I don't think it'll be too long before Schofield is having to go and getting ahead of him and getting into the points.
Yeah, it was weird. I was watching that incident, and it's almost as if Kelvin hasn't quite heated up his tyres for the safety car restart. He seemed to have struggled ever since then, whereas Stixel went a little bit wide out of turn 2, and that's how Khalifa and those got straight past him. I don't think there was any contact, because there's no damage report.
Yeah, it's very tricky turn 1. It's a bit of an overtaking opportunity, but it's not as heavy as braking zone as turn 3, as turn 13, so it can be difficult to get an overtake done cleanly there. Lukey's going to try and go to the inside here. 2 wheels on the grass, sells Kian the dummy, sends it down the inside. Alfa Romeo passes the Ferrari. Has Kian got the cutback though? He's going to have to try and hold it all the way around the outside here of the penultimate corner. That is going to be a very tricky thing to do. Can't do that. Lukey goes in deep though. Still these two making a bit of contact. Kian stays ahead for now. Has he going to have DRS down this straight? In fact, it looks like neither of them have got it, so Khalifa might be able to try and fight his way. This is a brilliant battle. This is only for 6th place, so it's still the lead of this race happening at the moment, but you cannot take your eyes off this action in the lower reaches of the points. 6th to 11th place, all right behind each other. You've got Jonas and Lawrence not too far off either. Kian holds on to 6th place for now. What this is obviously allowing to happen, it's allowing Jimbo on these soft tyres to maybe escape and maybe just try and take them a lap or 2 longer, knowing that he's not under any pressure.
That's always what you want to do as a driver, have no pressure, so you could take your tyres further, you're under no stress, and you could take the tyres even further still based on that. And the leaders have just got away at the front, and all the battle, as you say, is in the lower reaches of the top 10, and maybe in a couple of laps, maybe a couple of corners, even beyond that. But Kelvin is now outside the top 10, as Schofield had got past him as you were watching that battle very intensely a moment ago, as Kevin 11th, but Jonas is not quite in the RS range of him yet, although Jonas is on the harder tyres, and there's a car the wrong way. I don't know what happened, and that's Kelvin in a wall, Kian, Kelvin, and Lukey all off the track. Oh dear.
I saw Kian spin, and I wonder if Lukey took avoiding action, and then Kelvin just got a bit caught out by it as well. So what that does mean is Khalifa, Stixel, Schofield, they managed to get through cleanly, as did Jonas and Lawrence. So a bit of a disaster for Kian. Be interesting to see if there's any damage, apart from, I think, Kelvin taking a bit too much avoiding action. That's why he's coming in to the pits then. I think everyone did manage to get through cleanly. So this will be Kelvin's first pit stop. Everyone then will now have made at least 1 stop, with AJ having made 2. And for a brief second there, Danestar got within a second of Janil. It's back to just over a second at this moment in time. This might be where we see an undercut happen with Danestar, maybe, because obviously he needs to finish ahead of Janil. It'll make such a big difference. It'll be a 6-point swing, and then in the second stint he can think about catching Mr. Sim. But it's still early days, but Sim just seems to have got that gap to 2 seconds, and I'm not sure whether he's just keeping it comfortable or this is his pace at the moment as he just runs ever so slightly wide. So I'd say this is his pace, because you wouldn't do that if you were just keeping it comfortable. You'd expect to get no warnings. All these top 3 drivers at the moment have a 3-second penalty. A man who might be looking pretty good later on if we do get a safety car is Ollie Flavel. No warnings whatsoever for the Jersey man.
Yeah, you touched on it earlier. He's probably out to prove a mission after last week. He's not happy with that, and he's probably driving in response to that. But he's doing a good race so far. No warnings, no anything. He's keeping it very clean. And Dangstar is on the back of Janel there as he comes through the end of Sector 1 and into the right-hander. So we'll see if he can make any inroads into the lead of Mr. Simp, who's just driven away. 2.1 seconds is the gap now.
Yeah, his teammate is battling with Schnitzel at the moment. So Schnitzel trying to hold off Scopefielder, and Scopefielder hit that turn 5 curb. Very nearly went off the circuit. Schnitzel's then ran wide through turn 6, not giving Scopefielder a chance to fight back. Lawrence and Jonas battling as well. Interesting that Danestar has got back within that 1 second window and will have DRS this time around, because he was the fastest man out of those top 3 last time around. So 124.181, not too far off his personal best lap so far. As we check who has got the fastest lap and who's looking good for the bonus points at the moment, that would be Mr. Simp in the top 10, and outside the top 10 it would be Rimpeon to get his first point at the moment. Still a long way to go though, just coming on to the end of lap 12, and you can see there Mr. Simp with the lead. Danestar within DRS range of Janil, not close enough to attack at the moment. And then Ollie, Jimbo, now Khalifa just sort of driving their own races. Oh, as I say that, Khalifa's nearly lost it through the final corner. We have got a yellow flag in the final sector, and that is Lukey, who's been round at turn 13. He's broken his wing. He'll be coming into the pits.
Yeah, it's such a shame. Lukey had a fantastic start to this Grand Prix, and unfortunately it's all gone a little bit wrong in the last couple of laps, but there's still plenty of time for him to turn it around, and we're just a safety car away from him being able to really take advantage. So it's not over yet, and of course strategy change could see him get a fastest lap later in the race as he struggles to get up to speed into the pit lane, unless he's got that weird glitch that puts him in 3. He's losing so much time, unfortunately, because of that glitch that takes about 3 miles an hour to get to the pit lane. Unfortunate for him, but we'll check in with his progress a bit later.
Yeah, further up the field then, Schnitzel has dropped behind Scopefielder then for 7th and 8th. Danestar still trying to get within that second. He seems to be closer to Jano this time around. It just depends if the dirty air does affect him through his final few corners, because he's probably not close enough to have going to turn 1. Maybe though, maybe into turn 3, as you can see how late he's pushing on the brakes at this moment in time to try and keep up. Very evenly matched, all these top drivers at the moment. You've got to say the top 5 probably just pulling away from everyone around them. So if we don't get a safety car, I'd imagine this is going to be our top 5 as Jimbo Manzi comes into the pits. This will be his final scheduled stop. It will be the medium tyres. Who knows whether this undercut could work, because the others might be debating whether to go for softs or not, as Danestar nearly got ahead of Janel there, just went a bit deep. The Mercedes holds him off, but this is helping Mr. Simp. He's probably the big winner from this. It's now 3 seconds for gap as he picks up another 3-second time penalty.
So not so much of a help if you're going to throw it all away in penalties, mate. Come on, slow down, Mr. Simp, a little bit and just make corners and you'll be alright. You're doing a good drive though, nonetheless, but a few too many penalties. But that could change later. Jimbo Manzi comes out in 11th on fresh mediums. That could be huge.
Fresh medium tyres. If he gets ahead of Kian pretty comfortably as well, he's got a big gap of free air there of 9 seconds. That's exactly what you want when you come out with the pits on fresh tyres.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll pass him very quickly, because Kian seems to be struggling a little bit on 11-lap old mediums, because he pitted at the start under the original safety car. So I'm pretty sure Jimbo Manzi will be back in the points in less than no time, because he is half a second and in DRS range, and he'll have 2 bites of it around turn 13 and back down the start-finish straight.
Yeah, his teammates really have it in DRS now, trying to close up to Janel again, not close enough through 1 and 2. The Mercedes just snatching that front right brake ever so slightly. Khalifa now coming into the pits, and here we go again. Danestar's going to have to go the long way round once more. It didn't work out last lap. There's been a bit of contact between the two of them. This time, is he going to be able to keep it ahead? Janos holds it round the outside. He'll have probably got a warning for that, but he stayed ahead. That's another second that they've lost to Mr. Simp. And this this might just bring a few others into this battle later on. Maybe Jimbo Khalifa has come into the pits, as has Kian. So Jimbo now up into 9th position. Rimpe up into 10th. Khalifa coming out in 11th. Kian will come out in 12th. He's got a big gap ahead of AJ, then Kelvin and Lukey. We're seeing some pretty early stops here. Got to wonder for these guys at the front of the field whether they're thinking of pitting now, putting a fresh set of mediums on, or do you go a few more laps, knowing that you'll have to fight at the end of the race, knowing that you'll have the grip of a fresh set of soft tyres though?
Yeah, it's definitely a judgment call, and different drivers prefer each one of those. I personally have the fresher tyres at the end, but that's just the way I drive when I'm in my cockpit down in the prospect here. When it's not wet, of course. But there were some drivers that would prefer to push now and have track position. So we're going to have an interesting development, whichever they choose, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yes, this is going to be very interesting indeed. Schofielder then comes into the pits from 5th position. He will drop into 11th. Well, he'll actually drop into, I believe, 10th position, because we've also seen Lawrence come into the pits. Both of their drivers making their second stop. Lawrence not doing too bad in the points. Can he finally get his first points this season after looking so promising that time last time out in Canada? And there we go, fastest lap of the race, 1:23.381. Unsurprisingly there from Jimbo Manzi, that he is absolutely flying around at this moment in time. He sniffs a pretty decent finish here. He wants, obviously, to get into the... Well, he was in 5th place before the pit stop. I wonder if he's thinking, can I maybe challenge Ollie Flavelle for that 4th position? Probably he's not too bothered about finishing ahead of his teammate, obviously, because he said last week in the press conference, I just wanted to help my teammate out in the Drivers' Championship. He knows, as does Khalifa, their role is now just all about supporting.
Yeah, it's good that drivers are realising that for themselves, though, and they want to help their teammate win, or possibly work together to win a constructors. It's really refreshing to see, especially when you're racing so close as these boys have since lap 1 of the season.
Yeah, they have raced. Yeah, that raced so close. Ollie Flavelle into the pits, then 60 kilometres an hour, 37 miles per hour. Set of medium tyres to get him through the final 13 laps of this race. Where's he going to come out? Schnitzel into the pits as well. So we'll see where it is here. It's about 21-second pit lane loss, so you would still expect Ollie, I think, to be ahead of Jimbo. It is going to be pretty close. In the end, though, Ollie is ahead. You can see he's just behind Jonas, who's got to pit once more on those hard tyres. So Ollie Flavelle now in 5th position. When will we see Dainstar, Janel and Mr. Simp, the 3 lead cars pit? I suppose Mr. Simp's got a bit of a... He's got an advantage. Having that 5-second lead, he can just wait until the lap after these guys pit, not have to worry about the undercut, and have that advantage of slightly fresher tyres.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's definitely an interesting situation here, because you're going to have 2 of these trying the undercut, but Mr. Simp doesn't have to pit first. He can just react to everybody else, as you say. So this is a good place to be in for him, and you called it at the top of the race, but there's a few laps left to go still as Lawrence gets a 3-second penalty, but Mr. Sim does not pit. Does Janel or Dainstar in this lap? No, they do not.
The longer they're going, I am wondering if they've got any fresh soft tyres left. Are they going to put those on towards the end of this race and just try and, obviously, to be quicker and fight their way up the field? Maybe, just maybe, get that fastest lap bonus point. So here he's who is still to pit. The top 3 drivers and Rimpe and Kelvin down in 13th, still yet to pit. So that's going to drop Rimpe out of the points to 12th position. Obviously for those, well, Jonas as well, actually, he's still to pit, so he'll probably drop just ahead of Lawrence, of just staying in the points for now. These guys will still be the top 3 after their pit stop, you would expect, if they come in anytime soon. Because obviously, now that he's on fresh tyres, you can already see how much Ollie's catching up to Jonas. Can't afford to leave it too late, Dainstar and Janel, because that will bring the McLaren right back into play.
Yeah, I think that's what Ollie's hoping for. He's flying right now on needs fresh rubber, and if he can just get past Jonas in timely fashion, he won't take much out of them other than his push time. They won't burn up behind another car, and he'll definitely be up there with a chance of a podium or the win later on in the race. So this is great racing from Ollie Flavelle right now.
Yeah, definitely got his only win of the season at the French Grand Prix. He's had a couple of other podiums in Australia and America. Only 4 points off the championship lead going into this race, so still definitely within a shout. And it looks like it will be Janelle Dainstar and Ollie Flavelle really the main three, because Schofield has dropped ever so further back in 9th place after that incident early on, and that was a straightforward move as you will ever see around here. Ollie getting ahead of Jonas and Khalifa. Carbon copy, he finds himself up into 7th position at the moment as he tries to catch up to Jimbo Manzi. The leaders carrying on another lap though, and still Dainstar within DRS range. I think now that he's had them couple of chances, normally you do really only get at best 2, maybe 3 overtaking opportunities before the driver you're attacking just gets wise to where you're trying it.
Yeah, you would think that if you try it into turn 3 a couple of times, I'm just saying that as an example, if you were trying into turn 3 here, you might be a little bit mad, but well done if you can pull it off, I suppose. But Ollie Flavelle is definitely cutting into the window there to come out with the lead, I guess, when the people above him or in front of him have pitted. So yeah, definitely going to have some very close battles in the last couple of laps. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, and if it's not the cleanest pit stop, there's no reason why it shouldn't be, as the 2 Ferraris swap round and Dainstar gets a 3-second time penalty. And we have seen some pit stops then. Mr. Sim has pitted. He's coming in then for his final pit stop. Will still come out comfortably ahead of Ollie Flavelle, and it is soft tyres going onto the AlphaTauri. So he's got 10 laps left to do on those soft tyres. Should, I'm not going to say it will be, don't want to commentate as cursing, but it should be comfortable for him to take his 2nd victory of the season. It has pretty much been all or nothing for him so far. You can see comfortably ahead of the McLaren. We said about 21.5 seconds for a pit stop. If we say it's exactly 21.5 seconds, Dainstar is 22.2 ahead of Ollie Flavelle at the moment. He's really dragged himself back up into this. Obviously, though, it looks as though Janelle and Dainstar will be putting on the soft tyres, so it might be a struggle for Ollie to stay with them. But he's given himself a great chance of getting on that podium. Jonas, I've got to say as well. To say he's on those hard tyres, he's not doing too bad of a job. Might still pick up a couple of points later on in the race, as he will be a lot faster than Kian, who I think he'll come out ahead of, and he'll be a lot faster than Schnitzel as well. Take a look at what the penalty situation is for some of the top drivers. Janelle has 3 seconds. Dainstar and Mr. Simp have 6. What might save Ollie, he's still only had 1 warning. He's kept it very clean so far. Might sneak onto the podium because of that. Will any of the top 2 come into the pits? Indeed they will. Janelle leaving it very late there to come into the pits. He's in, Dainstar in as well. So this will promote Mr. Simp back into the lead. Where will they come out though, relative to the McLaren driver?
It's going to be very close, I think, and maybe just ahead of him as he's approaching the penultimate corner now. So it is going to be a very, very close race here. But I think maybe you saw him going to the pit lane late. Maybe he was trying to dummy the other driver into not pitting or, going in or whatever. It was strange, but there you go. There's the McLaren right on the gearbox of Dainstar. In fact, he could practically push him around turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, he might have a bit of a chance here. It looks like Dainstar's got DRS, and I'm not well, he would have been obviously within a second coming at the DRS detection point, but won't have been able to use it down the main straight. And if it wasn't for that, I think Ollie Flavelle might well have got him. He had to lift off slightly through turn 1 and 2 as well, because he had so much more grip on his tyres. Schofielder down the inside of Rimpe, so that is the AlphaTauri up into 8th position, still trying to fight his way up the field at this moment in time. Through that pit stop period though, Mr. Simps kept about 5 seconds ahead of Janelle, who's now nearly 2 seconds ahead of Dainstar, so really worked out well for the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, this really strengthens his championship opportunity as well, as he's the highest place of the contenders right now as well, but it can all change with penalties as they cross the line, so nothing's signed, sealed, and delivered just yet, but it's looking very good for Janelle right now.
Yes, it is. It was looking good for Lawrence to maybe pick up his first points of the season, but he broke his front wing, so he's had to come back into the pits. Is now on the soft tyres, so maybe that fastest lap for outside the top 10 is still a possibility as Mr. Simp 122.757. As things stay as they are, he might be getting a perfect 26 points from this race. Jonas Ulbricht finally getting rid of those hard tyres. That's going to promote Jimbo, Khalifa, Schofielder and Schnitzel up as well, and possibly even Kian. Rimpe into the pits as well. He might find it hard to get some points. And now I imagine just fighting for that extra fastest lap one. This could be very interesting. It looks as though Janel's showing a bit of pace all of a sudden. He's got the gap down to within 4 seconds because of the penalty that Mr. Simp has. It's basically a 0.6 seconds at the moment. We've got a 8-lap shootout for the win of this race as things stand.
Yeah, it's what you want to see, isn't it? 8-lap shootouts or 5 or 6 laps or whatever you want to call it. But Janel will have the slightly fresher tyres as well, pitting a lap later than the leader, which I probably would have waited till they pit as the leader, but never mind. He has track position now. Can he keep it? We'll see. This is fantastic stuff, as always.
Yeah, it would be great if the battle was actually on track between them, and who knows with the rate Janel's catching up on this lap, though. He's absolutely flown around. This is going to be, I think, the fastest lap of the race. We'll see what lap Mr. Simp sets this time around. So he does a 122.642. Janel, 121.2. Wow.
He's absolutely smashed it. Oof. Good luck.
That's like the real advantage between a Mercedes and pretty much the rest of the grid. Never mind when they're meant to have equal performance. If he keeps that up, there's going to be no rubber left whatsoever on these Pirellis, surely, but he's flown round there and he's already within that all-important 3-second window for him. Dainstar probably would settle for 3rd position now when you consider he needs to gain 6 seconds on Ollie Flavelle to finish there, and he's 2.3 ahead of him at the moment. Jimbo Manzi, he's also got no penalties, so looks as though he'll be in 5th. Khalifa 6th, Schofield a 7th, Schnitzel, a man who we know this season quite often keeps it clean. This time around, he's actually got a 3-second penalty. He's in 8th. Jonas will therefore be trying to catch him up on track. He is in 9th position, and Keelan currently in that final points position. That is a ridiculous lap from Janel. I've got to say, I knew he was going quick on that lap. I didn't realise just quite how quick he was doing. And now Mr. Simp's catching up to a bit of traffic, which will ghost, but he can just put you off ever so slightly when you've got a ghost car nearby.
It can do, yeah, because you're looking for a reference point, and then you see another car, and sometimes you react to, you know, what you think is a real car, because it's just second nature to do that, and you just sort of put a wheel on the grass and maybe have an accident. So let's hope that doesn't happen here. But that lap from Janel was about 1.5 seconds quicker than anybody else. The fastest lap of the race. That was just incredible. I mean, I don't think that'll be beaten inside the top 10 or outside even by anybody. And so that was a sensational lap. But yeah, this battle is far from over.
Yeah, definitely. Last time around, it was only a mere 0.6 of a second faster than Mr. Sim. But as we said, it's within that all-important 3-second window. We have got some battles further down, not for points at the moment, just for a bit of pride. Kelvin and Lukey on board with Lukey, who seems to have just slipped back a bit. Didn't have a great qualifying damage earlier on, probably ruining his chance of getting any points. Only Kelvin then yet to make his final compulsory pit stop, and he's already forgotten that once so far this season. Hopefully he doesn't do it again, as DRS is open then on the Alfa Romeo, not able to get ahead into turn 1. Kelvin there gets a slight little tap from Lukey as he gets a 3-second time penalty. I think he's not going to have any defence though in that McLaren on older tyres, on the hard tyres. Lukey up into 12th.
Yeah, good move from Lukey. Even when the McLaren missed a corner, he didn't put him off. He just picked his line and took his opportunity when he came. So good driving there.
Yeah, fantastic driving from him. His teammates trying to catch up to Schnitzel as well at this moment in time. 3.3 seconds to gap at the moment. Decent return to form actually from Jonas. He's not had, I think it's fair to say, not had the best season so far. Hasn't scored points in the last couple of races. Looks as though we'll be getting a few this time, so I imagine he'll be fairly happy with that. We've still only had one retirement, and that is Verheyen. AJ, I believe, is still not in the session at this moment in time, but 14 cars definitely running at this moment in time. It's looking more and more like Janel is going to take the victory after penalties have added. He's looking as though he's still trying to take the victory out on track as well. He's got that gap within 2 seconds. Mr. Simp is 1 warning away from another penalty, whereas Janel has 2. Well, I think Janel's now probably 1 warning away from another penalty as well after running wide there. But he has got a bit in hand if he's asking Jeff, he can maybe just chill. But probably for the championship, it might be best for him to just chill and just accept that he's going to take this victory out on track, because he will be kicking himself if he makes a mistake now, which could well cost him the win.
Yeah, it's easy to do. You see the leader right down in front of you. You try and get the lead, and then all of a sudden you dip a wheel on the grass and you don't see the leader anymore. But there's going to be a battle for fastest lap outside the top 10 as Lukey and Lawrence have both put fresh softs on. So that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. You can't blame them. Every single point counts. It's all about how high you finish up, and you never know what could happen as the season goes on, trying to help your team in the constructors as well. So Lawrence, last runner at the moment. Lukey on the soft tyres as well. They'll be battling. They will be battling towards the end of the race. Here we go with the leader of the race, pretty much been untroubled since the first lap. How much longer he'll remain untroubled for, I don't know. All he's got to do really is he's just got to not panic. I know he'll be gutted that he's probably not going to get the victory after penalties, but it's great to see the form and the pace we know that Mr. Sim has got. You don't win a race around Monaco without being a supremely good driver. He's just had a bit of bad luck and a few too many mistakes so far this season.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the mistakes that have hurt him, and the bad luck as well, of course, but definitely a few mistakes too many for a season. But, you know, we're all learning this game, and it's just, I just want to add more to the fastest lap. He was Lawrence's outside the top 10, but he saw Lukey going, and I think he followed him. He's like, no, I want this point, it's mine. But this is Jano, just outside the DRS window, 1.1 at most now, so this is definitely going to the wire. This is fantastic.
Yeah, the pace he has got on the soft tyres is absolutely, it's incredible. 8 tenths faster last lap than Mr. Sim. If he carries on this pace, it's probably, even with only 2.5 laps to go, it's probably when, not if, he gets ahead of Mr. Sim, especially now Mr. Sim. There is that third time penalty, so it's 9 seconds now for Mr. Sim. Rimpe coming into the pits to put on, if he's got another fresh set of soft tyres. We got to say, this extra fastest lap point, this is why I love it, because those in the top 10, there's no point in them retiring. They can all just pit and put the softs on at the end and really see what they can do. Jano's already seeing that. He's within half a second now. DRS open, not this time around. I think it's going to be tough for Mr. Sim to keep the lead of this race, and I'm sure if they could see this, Dane Starr and Ollie Flavel might be thinking, go on, just push each other off track ever so slightly. Not that you would wish ill on your rivals, but it'd definitely help both of these in the championship battle when it looks like Jan Hill's picking up another 26 points at this moment in time.
Yeah, you definitely need all the help you can get, but of course you don't wish harm upon your championship or fellow racing rivals. It's just always good to beat them on track, but if they beat themselves, then you're not going to stand in their way either to do that. And that's unfortunately what's happened. It looks like Mr. Sim with too many penalties.
Yeah, definitely just too many for him, costing him the victory. Still, as we said though, it is going to be another podium. Dane Starr 5.3 ahead of Ollie Flavel. If he get that up to 6 seconds, he'll get on the podium. If not, it'll be the McLaren make an appearance on the podium. And again, with Janil looking though he's taking the win, them extra points could be oh so crucial going into the penultimate round next time out at Silverstone. And then, of course, the final round in Vietnam. Here we are then, on board with Janil. Further down the field, Jonas round the outside of Sixel at turn 3. He's used those soft tyres. He's up into 8th place, which would tie his best finish of the season so far. The Williams still going to score some points, but in 9th at the moment. And look how close the Mercedes is to the back of the Alfa Tauri. A couple more corners to go, and then we are on to the final lap of this race. And if Mr. Simp wants to take the victory across the line, he's going to have some defending to do.
Yeah, he certainly does, and he's not guaranteed the podium at this point with all the penalties he's got. He's definitely slipping to at least 3rd place as it stands. If Ollie can find another couple of seconds, then he's going to drop off the podium altogether. So this is as close as it's going to get, and it is fantastic and brilliant. And let's go, final lap of the race.
Oh, Janel's gone for a very late move on the inside there. That could have ended in disaster, thankfully. He's kept all his front wing. Thankfully, he's still pointing the right direction. But I changed the camera angle. I saw him go for the move on the inside. I don't think Simp was expecting it. If I was Jano now, I'd think, right, I've got away with one there. let's just get to the end of the race. Oh, and Jimbo and Khalifa are battling as well. So the Mercedes are really trying this on the final lap here, and Khalifa's just picked up another time penalty.
Yeah, I mean, no harm in fighting back there. I mean, if you've already got pretty much the points guaranteed, you might as well try and have a go. But as long as you don't take your opponent off, I think it's all good. But that was definitely very close from Mr. Simp and Janel there. Like, Janel should really have not gone for it, being going to win the race anyway. I know you want to win on track, but you don't want to do a kamikaze move on the final lap to do so.
No, you do not. So we know he's going to take the win on penalties, but on track, Mr. Simp just able to hold off here. He's picked up another time penalty, so that might bring Ollie up. So Mr. Simp crosses the line. Janil takes the win on penalties. Danestar will finish in third position, but Ollie Flavel gets himself up, I believe, into second place. Great job from the McLaren. Look how close it was, and Lawrence actually we saw retiring on the final lap, I think, at the penultimate corner. You can see the Ferrari off the circuit there in a sort of awkward... In fact, that's incredible how he's ended up there. Jimbo 5th, Schofield are beating Khalifa in the end on penalties. Jonas will cross the line 8th, Snixel will get 9th, and then Kian will finish. In fact, Snixel jumps Jonas on penalties in the end, so Jonas 9th, Kian will finish 10th. Incredible end to that race. You can see how hard Mr. Simp was pushing on them tyres. He crossed the line in first, drops down to third. Jano with the victory. Great job from Ollie Flavel, though, to get second place and keeping it clean without the race with no penalties.
Yep, definitely. But on the other end of the scale, Kelvin's done it again. He's forgotten. He's only done one stop according to my screen here, so... Oops.
Oh.
That's really bad. Bad job there.
Kelvin.
Oops. Oh dear.
Oh dear indeed. Well, he's not got the fastest lap point, so that wouldn't have mattered anyway. It's Rimpey who's going to get that outside the top 10. So one McLaren had an absolutely fantastic race with keeping it within the rules. Kelvin, it says 12th place. It will be a second disqualification of the season. Jimbo Manzi there, driver of the day. That alternate strategy working out fairly well for him in the end to get him up into 5th. But Janel there, dance moves once again. He points to the camera. He knows he's the man here tonight. Second win of the season and the fastest lap point as well. That will give him now a great lead in the championship of 18 points ahead of the man who finished in second, Ollie Flavel. And it's a podium for Danestar. He's third in the championship. 30 points back though. Mr. Simp took third place. I do apologise. Danestar took 4th, but still 30 points back in the championship. So there is the podium. 2 drivers keeping it clean throughout the field. Ollie was one of them to get second. Mr. Simp third. Janel, though, with the win. 26 points for the championship leader. That lead just extending ever so slightly with 2 races to go. Danestar's 4th position. Going to be a struggle for him to take the championship now. Jimbo in 5th, so that means he's also out of championship contention as well. Schofield a 6th. Another driver who might find it hard. Khalifa 7th. Mathematically, it means he's out. Snixel gaining on penalties once again. Jonas was 9th. Kian, the final points finisher. Rimpey gets his first point of the season with that fastest lap point outside the top 10. And look how close he was to beating Janel's time. Kelvin will be disqualified. So Lukey in 12th. AJ disconnected. Lawrence retired at the end. And we saw Verheyen have that incident early on. So many candidates tonight for Driver of the Day. So many fantastic performances. Who's it going to go for, Matt?
Well, this week I'm going to go with Ollie Flavel. He's had a very good race today, and he's just seems to have picked the perfect strategy at the perfect time. So I just want to ask him, is that how it appeared, or did you just get a little bit more lucky than it might appear? But still, great result nonetheless.
So yeah, you're going to go for Ollie Flavel. I am going to go for the man who... I'm going to go for the winner. I was trying to justify a reason in my head to not go for the winner, but I couldn't think of another one. And I am going to ask Janel, have you borrowed Ferrari's illegal engine setting to set that fastest lap? Because you did it with about 7 or 8 laps of fuel, and it was so far quicker than everyone else. What do you think made you so special on the soft tyres in that race? They're the questions. They'll be answering them on the forums shortly, and you'll be able to vote for the driver of the day on Twitter. Again, there's so many people we could have picked. Scopefielder had a fantastic comeback after his mistake. Alternate strategy for Jimbo. That's really, as we said, it's made things interesting in the championship. Janil now leads. Ollie Flavel is second. Danestar and Scopefielder are going to need mistakes from those top two drivers. And Janil, if he wins next week and gets the fastest lap, it's over. He will be the champion.
Yep, the maths dictate that. There's not a lot of wiggle room left behind him, so I think all he's going to do is just... I don't think he's that bothered about winning. I think he just wants to turn up and do a good job on the day, and if he wins, great. If not, then he knows he's got that buffer.
Yeah, definitely a fantastic buffer. As you said at the moment, 18 points. Always a decent lead to have. His 6th podium of the season, more than anyone else. Ollie Flavel's 5th podium as well, and Mr. Simp with his 2nd podium of the season. So that is it for us here at the Precision tier. You'll be able to check us out next week, and hopefully it's just as exciting as that, because that was a fantastic Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it really was. I wasn't expecting too much going in, given what happened in Prospect, but it definitely lived up to what we've had all season, and it's brilliant to be in this seat watching it every week. So thanks for having me, and while I'm on that subject, thanks to the sponsors, Liam13, Facebook and Twitch, as you said earlier, and of course Next Level Racing, who sponsor the winner of the Going Gets Tough award by giving them a wheel stand.
Yes, definitely, and going did get tough for quite a few drivers out there tonight, but in the end, Janil takes the victory. His 2nd win of the season puts him in prime position to secure his 2nd Precision Championship in a row. Can he secure it next time out at the original home of motor racing and Formula 1 at Silverstone? You'll have to wait until next week, 7:45, to check that out. If, though, you want a bit more of your fill of One Hub action, then you are in luck, because there is now live the final tier of the night, the Pinnacle tier, which could well be a championship deciding Pinnacle tier. It should be live now, but I don't believe I can see the YouTube stream coming up, so hopefully you guys can see it, and you'll be able to see if Louis, with a podium, takes the championship there, so make sure to check that out. But for myself and Matt, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time around. Good night.